There's a lot of people that don't raid after they're done streaming, and I'm curious to see what people's like opinion is on that because I've noticed a lot of people not raiding out. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying it's almost like detriment to your growth as a streamer
After every stream. I made a TikTok talking about things I refuse to feel guilty about as a small streamer, being that I don't want to feel guilty about
and stuff.
not rating after every stream. And
Can I just preface this with saying that I feel very bad or guilty if I don't raid out after every stream. I feel like I almost have an obligation to raid out after every single stream. And if I don't do it, I feel almost like terrible for not doing it. Used to be really bad about it. The main time I don't raid is if I have to leave my desk right after I turn it off. I prefer to stay a few in chat. When I can't do that, I'd rather just wait until the next stream. I feel like for me, I stream at a time where I always have a few minutes after stream anyway. And I really want to be able to just like, send my people over to anybody. Here's the thing. One of my main rules was I would only raid out the people that are smaller than me, and I tried to raid out to people I didn't know, just randoms that are in the category. What I found most of the time is the people I don't know that are like very small streamers just starting out or something. I raid them and they're just like, "Hi," and then they go right back to gaming. They don't care or they don't understand what happened. It's very weird.
well, as soon as we rated the person, we got completely ignored. They didn't
That's
acknowledge
what I
the
was just talking
raid, they
about.
didn't acknowledge all my lovely viewers coming in with the raid message, and they were just being plain rude. And that just made me feel so bad because even though it's not my fault, I was the one who chose to send my viewers over to this streamer who then turned out to be a very uncomfortable streamer. And
What I'll say on that is if you're raiding out to people and it's unpredictable and you're not sure how they're going to react, why don't you raid into somebody that you're familiar with that has like less viewers than you? Wouldn't that be the default play? That even if you're not going to raid somebody you don't know, why not raid into somebody that you already have a relationship with that is streaming at the same time as you? Why wouldn't you do that instead of just not raiding at all within a range similar to mine? So if I have 5, I'll look for 10 and under. I don't know if that's good or not though. I think that's more than okay. I just press personally. I try to raid people with less viewers than me because I feel like if I can raid out to somebody with like 20, 30 people and they have 2 or 3 or 4, something like that, that could make their entire fucking week. You know what I mean? I That's what I like doing. And the more the channel grows, and whenever you raid, people fall off of it too. So I remember one day I raided out with like 40 something people, and the person that I raided into literally wouldn't stop talking about it for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? That's the type of shit I'm looking for. I raid out 75% of the time. It usually depends on what friends I have on or how much extra time I have to talk who I rated out to. That's the thing too, is a lot of people when you raid into them, they'll kind of be like, I understand if you need to raid and run, which sometimes that's the case, like Yolo said. If you have to go do something very quickly, that's fine. But if you're going to raid into somebody, I at least give them, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of my time if I can bear it, you know what I mean? For a lot of the time, I'm raiding out because I'm either like, I want to get off because I'm like hungry, I need to get my night wrapped up because I got work in the morning, just whatever the case is. So I'm gonna at least hang out with you 10 to 20 minutes, just making sure the community is saying hi to you and like, giving you a fair shake.
put my viewers in an uncomfortable position, and I hated that. And it actually triggered my social anxiety quite a lot because I was like, what did I do? I felt so embarrassed. I felt like I just let everyone down because I chose this wrong person to raid, and it's just made me very panicky and made me not want to rate people for.
I will say, when you're blind rating, like you said, is always a gamble. When I blind raid people and they're not a vibe, I like some people because my community, for the most part, people in here, they know me very well, and I talk to people in DMs all the time. So they'll actually DM me and be like, "That was a weird one," and you can't win them all. So sometimes we actually do have the conversations as a community and be like, "Oh, that raid kind of sucked," and well, it is what it is. They can't all be winners, right? So raiding into a random is always a gamble, but it's better to try because what if you raid in? I've raided into people that I didn't know, and they turned out to be awesome people. I've raided into just people I knew their names from like TikTok. A good handful of people in the chat tonight, for sure. So I've raided into a shit ton of people that I barely knew at all, just their name, just to see how they would react. And it, for the most part, it's been pretty good.
The second reason why I don't always rate after stream is quite simple actually. I just sometimes don't have the mental capacity for it. Some people rate and run, and that's totally fine. And I also do that with my friends. And I sometimes have to get dinner started right after stream as well.
That's what my point was, is like, if you don't have the mental capacity for it, why are you streaming in the first place? You had the mental capacity to stream, but you don't have the mental capacity to bring your community over to somebody to make their night, even if you know them. Am I reading the situation right? Yeah, I just feel like, well, how long are you streaming for? Are you streaming for 3, 4, 5 hours? Did you do a 24-hour? Did something happen during stream that made you want to get off really quick? I don't know. Or you were just putting on a face for the stream? Because if you're putting on a face just to stream, why don't you just put on a face to raid out real quick and just out of raid and run? I don't know. I just feel like there's always a way that you can raid somebody. I don't know. I feel like I've never not raided unless I had a tech issue. The only times I've not raided people is if I legitimately it wouldn't let me physically. There was a few times I tried to raid out to people and Twitch just wouldn't let me. It stopped me from doing it. I couldn't raid out. I couldn't do the type command or the raid button in my stream manager. It just wouldn't let me. So those are the times that I just couldn't raid out. And every other time I do, I make sure to raid somebody.
So I don't have time to sit and talk in chat. So I would rate them. But other times, especially if I'm rating new people, I would like to get to know them. That's why I'm rating new people. I would like to get to know new people. And sometimes I just don't have the mental capacity to do that. And even if I'm rating,
I just feel like that's kind of a cop out saying that. I don't know if I'm just being an asshole in this scenario, but like saying you don't have the mental capacity to raid out, you just raid and run. See ya, raid a friend, and say see you later.
my friends, I would still like to sit and chit chat with them for a while. And I just sometimes don't have the social battery for that. Sometimes I feel like there is a obligation that if you are streaming, you need to also rate after every stream. Otherwise, you are not a good supportive streamer, which I feel like is kind of BS because everyone can have their own reasons to maybe not feel up for rating after every stream. And just because you are a streamer, you're not obligated to rate after every stream. It is definitely an amazing tool.
You're right. Nobody's ever obligated to do anything for anybody else on this platform.
I wanted to share this with you guys because I wanted to know
I want to see what the comments
you guys
say.
might relate or had the same experience. I would love to know, or if
I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying it feels weird to say that as your reason. Raid out to people. I like that for them to have a face cam too, because I feel like it's harder for me to build a connection with somebody I can't see. I made a video about that, talking about if you're a VTuber, it's different because you're just physically not going to put yourself on the internet. But as far as raids go, and when I'm trying to check out new streamers, I actually purposely look for people with face cams. I've said that if I ever got to the point where I was averaging like partner numbers, I would only raid small people. I would only raid small streamers that maybe have under 10 or something. So that way I can ensure that they're getting like, some sort of eyes, because who knows, if I raid into somebody and they only have a few people in their stream, but they have like a good energy or they're doing a really good job, some of the people I raid into could end up hanging out with them long term or being more fans of them than they are me and going to them instead. Who knows? That's why I always talk about how rating is almost my duty. If I have more viewers than somebody,